Hello everyone and welcome to Glyphs. Thank you to all our viewers who have joined us on Zoom and on Facebook. It's an absolute pleasure to have all of you with us. We shall be starting in just a short while, and until then, enjoy this beautiful performance by Dhanashri Pandit, the Ganpati Kautukam. Here it comes.
Tom dit dit tay tat ta 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 tom tat ta utta kitta kinna tunga tat tom tunga tangu de tam ta tangi kidadaga dikku tam dittam dirgaduttam tom dikkum ta de dikkida kidadaga dikkittum aditiru marugane vigna vinayaka வினைகட அருளிய கணபதி ஜெய ஜெய அதிதிரு மருகனே விக்ன விநாயக வினைகட அருளிய கணபதி ஜெய ஜெய தீகிட உதரகடன் கிண்ணம் தீகிட உதரகடன் ஜெய ஜெய ததி கை துதி கை யானை முக தவர் ததி கை துதி கை யானை முக தவர்க்கும் கிட கிட தக தேவர்கள் கணபதி நம் கிட கிட தக திக்கித்தும் கணபதி கௌபுத்துவம் கற்றவர் விநாயகர் கணபதி கௌபுத்துவம் கற்றவர் விநாயகர் உக்குடுதாம் உக்குடுதை தக்குதி குத கீட்ட தும் கிட கிட தகடன் தங்கி கிட தகதி
It's lovely to see all our audience who have joined in. Please do put in your names in the chat box. We would love to know also your passion or that one hobby, that one thing that you love to do. Do put it in the chat box. We would love to connect with that passion of yours. On behalf of the Glyphs team, a very good evening to all the viewers from India and from all the other parts of the world. To the audience, we shall be recording this episode for quality purposes. Glyphs is a channel where you indulge in to identify the passion created within you, connect with each other, and openly and ingenuously express your thoughts and passions. The purpose of this channel is to create a community of people coming together to showcase their diverse passions on a global platform to a global audience. Your passion can be singing, photography, painting, playing an instrument, or even something as different as collecting items, cycling, or even sports. This might be something that you may or may not be doing necessarily as your work, but it is something that simply makes you happy. At Glyphs, we say, we create happy individuals. You know you got it. We know you got it. Let the world know you got it. And so, a very warm welcome again on this lovely Sunday evening. I am your host, Kavita Avasti, and it is an absolute pleasure to welcome all of you to this platinum, the 75th episode of this wonderful channel where we showcase your passion. The great Gulzar Saab says, एक कहानी कहते कहते एक कहानी और मिली, एक कहानी कहते कहते एक कहानी और मिली, दिल की डगर से जाते जाते एक निशानी और मिली. बस ऐसी ही कुछ कहानियां, ऐसी ही कुछ निशानियां बटोरते हुए हम आ पहुंचे हैं today to celebrate the 75th episode of our channel Glyphs, with a promise on behalf of Team Glyphs that हम आगे भी ऐसी ही कहानियां और निशानियां आप तक पहुंचाते रहेंगे. So let's start this wonderful episode on an absolutely wonderful note, presenting a small snippet of the passion of our special guest today. पेश है एक झलक. Rhythm is the essence of life and my first love. And so, tabla, well, it's a kind of the mother tongue of my passion that resonates with the way I think about music. These are the words of our special guest today, Unmesh Banerjee. Unmesh was blessed to grow up with a childhood filled with music because both his parents are also musicians. His father and guru, Pandit Sunil Banerjee, and his mother, Srimati Bharti Nanavati Banerjee, who is a versatile vocalist of the Patiala Gharana. Unmesh was initiated into the world of Carnatic rhythm under the Mridangam stalwart Vidwan S. Shekhar. Well, in the middle of maths, sports, college, and a job in the IT sector, music was a constant factor in his life. And Unmesh always knew that he was going to become a musician and that it was just a matter of when. So, when this when happened is when Unmesh quit his job and completely surrendered to his passion of the tabla. He says he loves being pushed out of his comfort zone because the more you're pushed out, the more your comfort zone increases. And that's exactly why he also loves every genre of music, be it hard rock, Bengali rock, playing with the sitar, playing with the sarod, in fact, playing with ghazals, which he particularly likes, that too, the Thumri style. In fact, one of the most exciting and memorable performances is the confluence of the Thumri and ghazal by Ustad Rashid Khan and Talat Aziz. But after all this, it is the classical style of playing which is the core of his expertise and is also closest to his heart. And today, in this special platinum episode of Glyphs, we are going to travel a wonderful melodious journey with the passion of the tabla with Unmesh Banerjee. So, to the audience, while we talk to Unmesh, if you have any kind of questions for him, please put it down in the Q&A section or the chat box. Unmesh would love to answer them towards the end of this episode. So, Unmesh, a very warm welcome on behalf of all of us to this milestone episode of Glyphs.
Thank you,
A
Kavita ji.
journey,
It's honor to be on this platform, and thanks to Glyphs for having me on the 75th episode, which I believe is a special episode. And you've already had amazing guests on the show. And thank you especially for the wonderful introduction. This is one of the best introductions I've ever had. Thank you.
lovely. Thank you, Unmesh. Thank you. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us. So, Unmesh, we know that your journey started when you were just about 6 years of age. And I'm sure that along this beautiful journey, some lovely experiences, some lovely memories, which we are sure you would have gathered along the way. So, we do know that a lot of people sometimes lose interest or the passion sometimes fizzles out after a few years. But the very fact that you have continued for so long does mean that you have some beautiful experiences in this journey. So, we would want you to share this with our audience, your journey and your experiences.
Well, I think my journey started even before I was born. So there's a lot of subconscious music that goes into a musician. It's not just the conscious learning and the practicing and the hours and hours of practice and the talim and everything. It is also the subconscious learning, which I think I had a lot even before I was born. And so there are things that I know musically which I don't remember how I know them. It's all courtesy my parents, my father and my mother, who gave me the environment to just absorb music even without trying to. And I have pretty much enjoyed everything I've done. So even when I didn't practice, I enjoyed that phase. I enjoyed practicing. And fortunately, music was never enforced on me. So it would be, I mean, my typical Saturday, Sundays would be, playing a little bit, going for my cricket classes when I was, I think, 5 or 6 years old. And then I would come back home at say 9 or 10 after playing on a Saturday, Sunday, and the house would be full with classes. One room, my father's classes, and the other room, vocal classes that my mother was taking. So I would immediately freshen up and sit for the class. And I would see some kid or the other, my father's student, who would play brilliantly, and that would make me jealous. And that pushed me ki are ye baja raha hai, I should be playing, my father's the guru, so shouldn't I be playing this easily? And that kind of pushed me always in the class to excel. And so I mean, it wasn't anything extraordinary up till when I took up music professionally. So music was happening, the osmosis was happening. I was absorbing everything without even trying to absorb it. Uh, I remember consciously starting a lot of practice and everything probably in when I was 15 or 16. Before that, of course, I practice was always there, just like what I'm saying. So I don't even remember if I, attempted to ki, are baap re, aaj to baithna hi hai, main classical musician hu, oh my God, I have to give 15 hours of riyaz. All that was never there. मजा आया तो बैठ गए वो too much of studies okay let me play too much of sports let me play tournament खेला तो I'm tired let me play so playing was kind of the sum for those who know music coming back to the sum is the entire point of our rhythmic cycles so it's like coming back home you do your work you do everything you come back home that's your comfort zone music was my comfort zone and once I started doing my job and studies and everything, the more I did other things, the more music attracted me. That's how it happened for me. And I was also very lucky. Like I said, I don't know what my life would have been had I not been son of my parents. Um, and another thing that changed my life was learning Carnatic under Vidwan S. Shekharji. And, getting a Carnatic guru in Calcutta is an unimaginable thing and not just a guru but one of the greatest ever so I was very lucky to learn the Carnatic style of music and if I can later I'll demonstrate why I'm saying learning Carnatic is so important it just opens up your vision of rhythm so yeah that was pretty much my journey Kavita ji I'm loving
Yes,
the
Unmesh,
slideshow that's been put up wonderful
absolutely. Yes. Thank you so much, Unmesh. And I'm sure our audience is also looking forward to hear you playing. And that's coming up soon. So, to the audience, just hold on. We're just coming there. So, Unmesh, you shared some beautiful experiences, your lovely journey, the lovely pics that we have seen, of course. But still, knowing it is a beautiful journey of a lovely passion, if you were to pick out an experience which is the most memorable or maybe the closest to your heart, something that you really cherish, what would that be?
Well, you know what? When you don't have something, you really understand the value of it. So now that we've been doing all the onlines in front of a phone, all the classes in front of phone, entire life revolves around the phone right now. So if I have to pick and choose one set of experiences, it would definitely be playing in front of an audience. Be it 5,000 people like last year at the Swanzarankar Festival, or 15 great people in a homely Bathak that classical musicians music is known for. So playing in front of the people would be one key highlight. Apart from that, it's difficult to choose, but it's always a challenge to play in front of the legends of your field. Or to perform, you could be, from any field, to perform in front of the legends who you've looked up to is a great experience. So when I played with Ustad Rashid Khasa, Talat Aziz ji, when I accompanied, say, Ustad Shai Parvez Khan, or I played a solo in front of my father's Guruji, Acharya Pandit Shankar Ghoshji, one of the greatest tabla players to have and composers to have walked on this earth. So those are things I'll never forget in my life. So those moments give you confidence to move on.
So true. And I think, well said, Unmesh, all of us realize that जो दाद मिलती है from the audience,
Oh,
the light
amazing.
is something which keeps and somebody like you going. It actually fuels the passion. Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Thank you
it's
for
not about the huge numbers. Sometimes it's just the 10, the homely bathak where some senior musician will be, wah beta, jeete raho. Even that is, it pays off all the hours of your practice. And you feel so good and confident.
so true, Unmesh. Absolutely. And we really hope and pray. that the Betak and all the physical performances start very soon. To the audience, since we are talking about such wonderful people and such stalwarts in music, sometimes there are things that we are actually unaware about. So, we're going to have a small quiz before we proceed. So, to all the people in the audience, I'm going to ask you a question, and I would want you to put your answer in the chat box. So, here it comes. A renowned tabla maestro was born in Jammu and Kashmir who popularized the art of tabla all over the world. He was born to a soldier who later returned from the army and worked as a farmer after that to earn his bread and butter. In 1936, he began to work for the All India Radio, and this person is known to be the station's first ever tabla solo player. Who is this legendary player that I'm talking about? Yes, Shilpa and Apurva, those were instant answers. The legendary Ustad Alara Khan Khasa. Of course, with this, we come to the first performance of the day, classical tabla. Like I said, something which is the core of Unmesh's passion, and to give the audience a flavor of the huge tradition of tabla and the beauty of its sound. Coming up is this first performance. Over to you, Unmesh.
Yeah, so tabla, contrary to popular belief, is actually not that old an instrument. It's about 250, 300 years. The exact history is a little blurred. There's a lot of controversy. But the point is that tabla has kept evolving over the years and call it, I mean, some might object, but you could call it the fusion of the olden times where different genres came in and merged together to give us the style that tabla is right now. And hence, tabla is traditional and contemporary both, and hence has lasted the test of time of a few centuries. So I'll play a little bit just to give you a glimpse of the rich language and the tradition of tabla. Um, I'll use a drone and a metronome as of now. So what the metronome does is it keeps the time on which I improvise. Okay, so here's a little bit on Tintal. Those who understand, you can count and enjoy. Those who don't, just enjoy the sound and uh, nothing. It's not that complicated. It's just fun. Tabla has a rich literature of its own, and which is why across the few generations that tabla has existed, the language has been passed on in the form of poetry like in any other language. So, like we had Shakespeare in English, who would write a sonnet or a drama or something, and that would be passed on across centuries without any changes because the language was so evolved and rich that it could be documented. Similarly, tabla has its own full-fledged language, of course, abstract in nature, which kind of resonates the sound. So it's onomatopic in nature. So if I say ta, it's because it sounds like ta. When I say dha, it sounds like dha. However, like I said, it's abstract. But to explain the dynamics of the beautiful flow of tabla, the ups and downs in the volume and the weight of strokes, the masters created stories to explain to the students how they have envisioned the dynamics of the composition. So I'll just give you a small example of how a story could be weaved around the composition just by the sound and the volume and the ups and downs of the composition. Again, it's set to Teen Tal, and it describes a thief who's trying to steal at night, who's trying to rob houses at night. So he tiptoes his way into the one of the neighborhoods. And then he forgot that this is the 21st century and there are alarms and motion sensors. So the alarm sets off the because of his motion, the movement tips off the alarm. So again, the thief goes into the neighborhood. And then the alarm goes off, blasting volumes. Entire neighborhood is awake. And he's trying to dodge through the various levels of security. He takes rest for some time, but he has to complete a robbery. He tries another house and he fails again because of the advanced technology, tries another house and retires for night. Now you might ask why? Why is he robbing three houses and then retires for night? Because it's a chakradar and it has to take 3 tiles. Kavita ji, back on to you. This was a little just, I mean,
Lovely.
maybe just a tiny speck of sand in the ocean of tabla.
Absolutely, but such a beautiful way to portray something so simple as a very small story. We never really thought of it. Portraying a story in the form of a tabla, and like Apurva has said, we can actually visualize the story as you're playing. So it's a beautiful way of showing us a classical side, even to people who might not understand a few nitty gritties of these things. So, to all the audience, if you have liked the episodes, this experience, these concepts, we are open to have your financial support. We would like to sincerely thank our audience who have supported us till date. Your support has made it possible for this platform to bring together people from different places and cultures, all bound together by passion. Your financial support, however big or small, is extremely valuable to us. You can see a Google Pay number as well as a QR code for any contribution that you would like to make to take this concept forward. Thank you again to the audience. And before we move on, over to Apurva Khare, who has joined us all the way from Vienna, who's going to share how each one of us can also become a part of the ever growing channel Glyphs. Apurva, over to you.
Thank you, Kavita. To all my passionate friends present here today, what a treat it has been to hear Unmesh play tabla and share not only his journey but also a treasure of knowledge with us. In the same manner, all of us also have different passions that we love to do. It could be dancing, photography, traveling, painting, collecting stamps. My passion is dancing, and I have been a part of the Glyphs community since the launch episode. GlyphsCCE is a channel that provides you with a platform to take your passion across the globe. We currently have a viewership in over 44 countries worldwide. Now that you're enjoying the Glyphs show, we are happy to tell you that we can create a specially designed show for your company, social or business clubs, as well as for alumni meets. Can we have a video, please? Now you can also be a part of this Glyphs community. Well, there are two ways in which you can do it. The options will be on your screen right now. So go ahead and choose one or even all. Can we have the options, please? Your passion got you here. What will be your next step? Option 1. I want to perform or refer someone to perform on a Glyphs episode. Option 2. I want to introduce Glyphs to my company. For all our viewers on Facebook, please comment option 1 or 2 and we will get back to you. Thank you for your lovely response. You can now see the phone number and email ID on the screen right now. So join us on the GlyphsCCE channel, the place where every passion finds a home. Before I sign off, let me take this opportunity to thank Kavita as well. Kavita Avasti, a fashion designer who owns and runs her own boutique Poshak for the past 26 years and has been a constant support for us at Glyphs. Thank you, Kavita, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Apurva. Thank you to our audience for participating in the poll, both on Zoom and on Facebook. So, Mesh, back to you. Unfortunately, we are living in an era or a generation where, sometimes classical music brings about a generation like, oh my God, I cannot do this. This is something that I cannot understand. like Tanushri just mentioned, even for the people who cannot understand classical music, you had a very, very different way of portraying it right now. Sometimes people feel that you need to be from a different generation or a different mood to enjoy this kind of classical music, and that they cannot enjoy this genre. So, what's your take on this?
Yeah. So, well, I believe that classical music was always it's always been an acquired taste. So it's not that 100 years before it was the mainstream and today it's not. आजकल के बच्चे तो ऐसे ही है. No, that's not true. Not at all true. At the same time, it is an acquired taste too. It doesn't just happen magically. But the problem that a lot of my friends, and I have a lot of friends who are not from the music fraternity, who have a preconceived notion that अरे बाप रे ये तो बहुत मुश्किल है, बहुत समझना पड़ेगा, 200 राग मालूम होना चाहिए, गिनती आनी चाहिए and all that. For them, I just have to say that if you acquire a taste for, say, good Thai food, do you necessarily know all the ingredients, where the ingredients came from, and everything? No, you just acquire a taste. You just give it some time, and then you understand the flavors without knowing too much of the intricacies too. I mean, if you know, good. If you don't, you still enjoy. It's the exact same thing with any acquired art. You are a fashion designer, and I'm sure you agree that any niche art, classic art, is an acquired taste. And by acquired taste, it doesn't necessarily mean कि बहुत उस पे study करनी पड़ेगी. Not at all. So I think it's not this generation's problem. It's always been there. Just give it time, those who are interested, and don't even try to understand. Enjoy.
Enjoy. I think that's the crux of everything. You just have to enjoy. And the very reason that this passion is so strong is because Unmesh is enjoying it. Yes, Rajendra, very well said. You just need to enjoy. You don't always have to understand everything. Unmesh, also we have lately seen that a lot of students or a lot of professionals, they are completely into various kinds of musics. It could be classical, it could be non-classical, but they are into music. But yet, they feel that music cannot be taken up as either a full-time passion or a full-time, even a profession. They feel it's kind of mandatory to have the typical job. Just because if somebody asks you, what are you doing in life? It's awkward to say that it's music. So, this is unfortunately a myth or a thought process that a lot of us carry. We would want you to tell our audience the other side of this myth because you have, like I said, your when happened and you gave up yourself completely to this passion. So, what would be your advice for all the other people out there who want to get into music?
Yeah. So as far as my decision to pursue music from an IT career and various other things that I did, it was easy for me because I was always a musician by heart, and it was like you introduced me. It was only a matter of when. But let me just give my view on this whole journey, and not just for music, but any freelance field, because I have a lot of friends who are in different freelance industries too, from the fashion world, from web designing world, etc. Whatever. So my take on this is, firstly, if you take up if you see music as a passion, practicing something as a passion for fun and practicing something as a professional is completely different. So if you think कि अभी दो गाना गाया या थोड़ा तबला बजाया, little speed I can play and stuff, I'm enjoying it, great. You have to ask yourself, can you practice 10 hours a day without a concert too? If at times you can also practice your art without enjoying it, in the sense that it has to be repetitive and more disciplined in nature, not just for fun, then maybe you can think of the professional aspect of it. And there are various other aspects too. Firstly, never look down upon the job field. हम लोग जब when we become freelance artists and not just musician but any freelance field, we are like अरे job वाले. But that's not the thing. I think there are two paths to success. One is the freelance way, and the other is the job path, and both have their ups and downs. it always, the other side always looks greener, but that's not the thing. It, both the journeys are nice, both the journeys are difficult. But if you want to be a freelance artist, you got to be amazing at your art. Okay, so because the competition is really high, which doesn't really give you an assured salary or do saal baad promotion, 4 saal baad or promotion, 10 saal baad, that doesn't happen. So you could be great today, tomorrow some other great musician, just takes away all your work. That could happen. So you have to be amazing at what you do. You have to have the ability to evolve along with your art. So I mean, Kavita ji, I'm sure you agree with me. If you were, say, great at some kind of fashion 20 years back, today you'll have to evolve everything. So everything must have changed for you,
Absolutely.
right? So if you can give your views on this whole thing, because you are a successful fashion designer with the freelance industry too.
We do need to. Yes, Umesh, we do need to evolve. In fact, what we are doing right now, even coming online, is a way in which all of us have evolved to keep up with the changing times. And I think rightly so, everybody needs to find their comfort zone, evolve and get into that comfort zone. In spite of the fact that it's not easy for everybody to step out. Yes, but I do agree. You've done a fabulous job, and that passion of yours is showing the way you're performing today.
Thank you so much.
Lovely, Unmesh. Thank you so much. We have a beautiful comment by Jent Shinolikar. He says, "You are passion. Unmesh itself means a display of passion. It is very apparent from the way you talk and you perform." Lovely, Jent. Thank you for that lovely comment that you've put in there.
Unmesh means the budding or the coming out of, or the enlightenment of something. So it's generally used with the phrase of gyan. So gyan ka unmesh hona yani awakening of the knowledge. Even though all that is too heavy for me to even execute, but that's what the name means.
It's true, 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 true. And yes, with that, we come to the second performance. Unmesh, just a feedback for you. If you do have the original sound on, there was a little bit of sound which was breaking in the previous performance.
Oh,
If you
yeah.
can just enable that sound again. All
Right.
right, and now we come to the groovy aspect of tabla. The next performance is going to show how the tabla fits into the new age soundscape in spite of being a traditional instrument. So, yes, back to you, Unmesh, for the next performance.
Yeah, so I'll just use the cajon a little bit, and those who understand music will realize that even though it all appears to be groovy and nice, there's a little bit of intricacy. Once again, those who don't, please enjoy, and I'm sure, I hope you enjoy, and just enjoy the sound and everything. I have enabled my original sound, so it should not be blurred anymore.
Lovely. Okay,
Okay,
thank you so much.
so here's, yeah, thank you. So here's a bit of Kanda Chapo, which is 5 beats from the South Indian system. And if you consider the North Indian system, it's the 10 beat Jhaptal. Okay, so I'll just, little bit of Kahan and Tabla is what I have here right now. So let's see. So that was just a little improvisation on what was
Wow.
just occurring to me right now in five.
That was beautiful, Unmesh, and we could hear you beautifully. Absolutely every small,
Yeah.
all the nuances. It was absolutely wonderful. Yes, Rajendra, that was that Kahan as he, yes, that lovely box that he has there, which a lot of us were wondering what was it about. Again, to the audience, yes, if you have liked these episodes, the experience, and of course the concept, we are open to having your financial support. And we would like to thank our audience who have supported us in this entire journey of the 75 episodes. It has made it possible to get together people from different places and cultures, all bound together by passion. Like I said, your financial support, however big or small, is extremely valuable us. So on the screen, you can see the GPay number and the QR code. So for any contribution that you'd like to take this concept forward, it's an absolute welcome to all of you to take this channel of glyphs to another level. And before we proceed with the last performance, in case the audience has any kind of questions or a request for Unmesh, here it is. Now is the time to take that up. If there is anything, all right, Apurva has says, she says, have you tried playing tabla with any Western classical music piece, Unmesh?
By Western classical, I would assume all non-Indian genres, I guess. But if it's pure Western classical, like the pieces of Beethoven, Mozart, and everything, then I haven't yet. But recently, yes, with the one during lockdown, I did a collaboration with a beautiful composer from France, and you can check out the video on YouTube, which was kind of like the traditional Western classical. And by Western classical, if you mean all non-Indian genres, then that too, yes, I have. I recently, last November, I toured with. By November, I don't mean 2020. I mean, let's just forget 2020. I mean,
Yes.
2019. I toured with a wonderful guitar player from Austria, Vienna, Harry Stoya, and his music was completely different. So we merged his style of music with with a lot of Indian classical, with Rajasthani folk. Then I mean I love playing with jazz. Tabla goes well with jazz actually. Indian classical and jazz have a few similarities in the way that it's kind of improvised. Whereas the Western classical that was in question is kind of fixed pieces. So that doesn't really suit the tabla too well unless the tabla is, thought of while the pieces are being made. But
Mhm.
jazz suits very well because it, like Indian classical music, it goes with the flow. Some part of it might be composed, but most of it is improvised. So it suits the Indian form of music.
Oh, interesting. Jazz and tabla. Well, I don't think too many people know about that. And in fact, what you've shared, the person who's asked you is from Vienna in Austria. So, wow, that's
Oh
some
wow!
coincidence. Amazing. Yes. Wish she will connect with you definitely after the episode.
Sure.
The audience, yes, we are coming up with the finale, of course, the last performance of the day. Before that, we would like to thank Unmesh Banerjee, on behalf of our team and the audience for joining us. Unmesh, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us. Thank you so much. And
Same,
we'd
yeah,
also like
and
to thank
the pleasure's been mine to be on the show, and the entire team behind the screen, also for those who don't know, have worked really hard, and even the screen transition, the small movies that have been made are wonderfully. So a lot of effort has been put in. I hope all our viewers really share this video, follow the future updates too, follow the page, and shower your blessings and love.
they will. I'm sure everybody's enjoying as much as we are over here. And we would like to also thank Shakir Khan for introducing our guest Unmesh Banerjee to the Glyphs channel today. Also, special thanks to our ever efficient backend team for their efforts in preparing every episode flawlessly. The founders, Salil, Tanushri, and Gayatri, for innovating this idea and creating this awesome channel. Last but not the least, our wonderful audience from India and from across the globe for watching, supporting, and encouraging us during each episode of our channel Glyphs CCE. To the audience, now that you have seen this episode, we would love to know your feedback. In the chat box, you are going to see a link. There it comes. Do click on it and put in your feedback. We would love to know your thoughts. And now, as promised, time for the finale. And just before that, a quick question, a quick quiz. To the audience, in the Indian mythology, it is said that Nandi, who is the escort of Lord Shiva, was a master percussionist and used to play an instrument during the performance of the Tandav dance by Lord Shiva. Which is this instrument which Nandi played? I'm going to give you a hint. It is a no, it's not the damru. Shilpa, yes, you are right. I was going to say it's a double sided instrument. It is known as the king of percussion. And Shilpa, you're absolutely right. It is the mridangam. In fact, it is also said that the mridangam was made to recreate the sound of Indradev as he moved through the heavens on his elephant Airavat. That's why the mridangam is also called the Deva Vadyam or the instruments of the Lord. And to give our audience the flavor of this South Indian rhythm tradition of the mridangam in the Carnatic style is Unmesh with his next performance. Like we say, the tabla is the primary percussion instrument of North India. The mridangam is the leading instrument of the South, which has its own history, probably even older than the tabla. So let's hear this different and unique side of the tabla coming up, the last performance of the day. Unmesh, over to you.
Yeah, so a little trivia on the word mridangam. The mridangam nowadays, for many, I mean, probably for 2 centuries, refers to the mridangam from the south, which I'm going to give you a flavor of, but the tabla version of that. But in the olden days, so in our scriptures, you won't see the mention of pakhavaj as much. Everywhere you'll just see mridangam and mridangam. So what mridangam meant back in those days in our scriptures and everything was basically a clay instrument with skin on 2 sides and anything that was played from both sides. So by that category, a pakhavaj is also called a mridangam. Uh, the followers of ISKCON would understand that the khol that they play with their bhajans is also called mridanga, and the South Indian mridangam is also called mridanga. So mridangam basically encapsulates all the clay instruments that are played from the side. However, the modern day mridangam is from the south and it sounds kind of course, this is the tabla version of it, but it sounds kind of like. So it has a little buzz in its sound and it's played from the side. So I'm not really trying to copy the sound of Mridangam, but giving you a little flavor of the entire approach of their playing through the tabla vocabulary. So, and I'm very lucky to receive all this knowledge from my Carnatic teacher, Vidwan S. Shekharji, and he's been very kind and has blessed me throughout my journey. So, here's a bit of Adi Tal, which is the regular 8 beats, which most of the world's music is based on. So here's a bit of Adi Dal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let me try and fix the metronome. The sole reason being that the entire repertoire of Mridangam is very much fixed on the system of Adi Tal.
Lovely.
Okay. Phones always let you down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. that was just a little flavor of Carnatic. I wish I had the metronome or someone keeping the tal, because tal, the way the tempo is kept is the basis of the entire um, approach of Carnatic playing. But anyway, that was just a little flavor. All of requesting all our viewers to do check out a lot of tabla, a lot of mridangam of great masters online. Just enjoy the sound, just enjoy the flavor of classical music. And I am also on YouTube, Insta. Do check us out. And before we finish, I'd like to thank dear Shakir Bhai, who's like an elder brother to me, for bringing Glyph and me together. Thanks a ton.
Thank you. I think we should say a perfect end to a beautiful evening. Thank you so much. And in case anyone from the audience is interested in interacting with our guest, please put your name in the chat box. We can get you backstage to talk to them. Thank you so much. I am your host, Kavita Avasthi, signing off for today. My team and I shall be waiting to see you on our next episode. Next week, being Republic Day, we at GlyphsCCE would be hosting the team members from a CSO, that's a civil society organization called Shelter Associates, who actively work to improve the living conditions of the urban poor in India. Here we shall introduce you to the passions of their team members. So tune in on next Sunday at 5 o'clock and be there to experience a new world of passion. Until then, stay safe, keep exploring your passions, and do take very good care of yourselves. Good night and have a lovely week ahead. Thank you.